My Life, How It Took 40 Years to Make It Into the Big Time by Carl Solomon.
That's my friend Carl Solomon. He and I have known each other since probably 2007. My name is Tim Pilleri, and I'm interested in people. Some folks might know me for my work in true crime, having hosted the Missing Maura Murray and Crawlspace podcast for years, but this is a much different kind of show. This is about my friends and their wild lives. And you've seen The Grateful Dead how many times now?
592.
This is actor Carl Solomon. You may know him from movies like The Greasy Strangler or Pan Man or Adult Swim's Tropical Cocktails.
I forgot to mention another Jim Hosking production, An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn.
Carl recently performed in a movie called An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn, directed by Jim Hosking. Shout out Jim.
So we had
Right.
Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Emil Hirsch.
Uh-huh.
And Larry, the main character.
I didn't see this one.
That guy, Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson.
Yes.
Okay. Season 1 of Life of will feature my friend Carl Solomon and his life of art, music, and drugs. How were they to work with? How was Aubrey Plaza? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was really nice.
Great.
Yes, they were all nice.
That's good to hear.
Yes. Everybody was really friendly. It was family there. We all stayed at the same hotel, the Eureka Inn. And, oh, yeah, they... I was so grateful that Jim picked my favorite county in California to shoot An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn, which was Humboldt County.
You love it. Why do you love Humboldt County?
Goodies.
What do you mean by goodies? What do you mean? It's legal.
What Humboldt County is like famous for.
Okay, that's legal fun. Legal fun these days,
legal
Carl.
fun.
Yeah.
And now it's every county is really good, but that was like the beginning.
Right.
Humboldt was the beginning. In the beginning, they picked those places to grow.
Yeah.
But basically, especially if you do it indoor. You could basically grow anywhere.
Yeah, I had a friend who used to work up there certain seasons, and he would pick and then come back, make a lot of money, and then come back, and do acting and stuff like that.
Yes.
Did you ever live up there?
I did that.
You did that too?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
yes.
cool. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was it fun?
Yes.
Did you get to smoke a lot of it?
Yes.
Did it get dangerous at any point?
No, but what happened is, even though it was legal, for some reason, one of my friends, places got raided.
Oh,
Yeah, for no reason at all.
Yeah.
They said it was complaints. Even though it's legal,
Yeah.
only a few growers have the right to grow.
Right.
And because
they're cracking down because of the taxes and everything. They want to make
no,
sure.
but when they passed that law, it was the only people that had the right to grow were the cronies of whoever is in office at that time, including Newsom.
Yeah, you got to
And
grease
if
the
you're
wheels.
and if you decide to grow and you're not on that list, your place gets raided.
Well, Carl, let's back it up.
Yes.
Let's go way back. And so when were you born? When and where?
1952. And I visited the places that I lived just the past, this week.
Yeah, that's very good.
Because I'm here for a wedding. Congratulations, Laura and Danny.
Congrats to Laura and Danny. So those are your family? You were here for a family wedding?
Yes. I haven't seen them since Laura's bar mitzvah.
Oh, wow.
Which was, I believe it might have been 2002.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's great. Like seeing everybody.
So you're visiting your roots back here on the East Coast.
Yes. I even stopped by to see if, just to eat in the town where my prep school was. And it was like, my prep school, which changed my life.
We will get into it. All right. So you were born in 1952. In where?
Queens.
Queens.
New York.
Oh, okay. I thought on Facebook it said Plainville.
Plainview.
Plainview.
Well, we moved to, all right, I was born it was Bell Boulevard in Queens,
Okay.
and I lived with my family. And I would say in 1958, we took the plunge into suburbia.
Okay.
And it wasn't like that Penelope Spheris film. Have you seen that?
I have not. Oh, is it Suburbia?
There's a film called Suburbia.
I did see that one. Yeah.
Yes,
From
it's
the
about
90s.
punk rockers and skateboarders.
I like that movie. Yeah.
Yes, I loved it too. But no, it wasn't like that. It was a miserable childhood, to be honest.
Why?
It's just like I was a square peg that didn't fit in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exactly why you're here, Carl. Because I saw on Facebook you wrote that you were like, "This is the high school I never attended."
Yes.
And I realized, like, you as you put it, you were a square peg in a round hole. You were never meant to conform
Yes.
like that. So
Yes.
I want to get to why that is.
Why? Because, well, what happened? I guess you could start off with the Beatles.
Okay.
Everybody having long hair.
Uh-huh.
And then what the media, to you, all right, there was a columnist
Uh-huh.
from the San Francisco Chronicle at that time who coined the word hippie.
Yep.
Herb Cain. He's the one that, caused that word.
Okay.
But the proper, term is, counterculture.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people were rebelling.
So you got into that right
Yes,
right
yes,
away.
around I guess around 68.
Okay, so that means you were like around 16 at that point. So that's right in that range where you can really start to make your own decisions and
Yes.
start to like not go to high school and stuff like
yes,
that.
yes, and go to Woodstock the following year with them. My parents said no.
Yes.
I went anyway.
I love it. How was Woodstock?
Excellent.
The best?
Excellent. They can't duplicate it this year. There's supposed to be 2 Woodstocks.
Oh, really?
Yes. And one is being planned far from where the original Woodstock was. There some casino in Syracuse.
So music is also a big part of your life.
Yes.
Always has been.
Yes, it has. I like concerts.
Yeah.
It's a a place to escape
Yeah.
in another world when you go to concerts. In fact, I'm seeing Paul McCartney in a few days.
Oh, nice.
Dodger Stadium.
Very cool.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I see on Facebook you're always going to shows.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've seen the Grateful Dead how many times now?
592. And I'm not counting the offshoot bands or any post Jerry band. From Woodstock in 69 to 94. 94 at Las Vegas, 94.
592 times.
Yes.
With Jerry.
With Jerry.
Did you meet Jerry at any point?
Once or twice.
Okay.
It was really funny. Very close by here.
Okay.
The Boston Music Hall show
Oh.
of 76. And I couldn't get in. I remember one time I did sneak into one of the Boston Music Hall shows, and then I saw my first St. Stephen. I was really surprised.
You saw your first.
St. Stephen. That's one of their songs.
Oh, okay.
St. Stephen.
Oh.
In fact, it's my favorite Grateful Dead song of all
Okay.
time.
Write that down.
Yeah, forgot to tell you that, but
St. Stephen with a rose, in and out of the garden he goes. Country garden in the wind and the rain. Wherever he goes, the people all come play.
Do you remember how you
but what
snuck in?
happened was,
Yeah.
but somehow, I guess somebody would, from the inside, saw us knocking and would open it. The old, movie theater trick.
Sure.
But the
Okay.
second time around, I was walking around the venue and a cop stopped me, went through my pockets for no reason at all, found my bag of goodies, and then dumped it in the snow.
Oh.
So it was like I felt really miserable. So I found out where he was staying. This is a really funny story. Oh, I can't believe it. the Dead were staying at the Sheraton
Okay.
in Boston. So I knocked on Jerry's door, and he was pissed. Even though it was the afternoon, he was sleeping.
Yeah.
So
What'd you
I
say to
said,
him?
Jerry, I came here all the way from New York. And Jerry said, well, I came here all the way from California. And then, okay, well, good night, Jerry. Sorry. And then before you know it, but I already had gone back into the elevator. His bodyguard, Steve Parrish, was chasing everybody off the floor.
Oh, boy. Well, good thing you got into the elevator in time.
Yes.
So that was...
And the second time was like Telluride, Colorado in '87. I gave him my beer.
oh,
and
really?
He took it.
At a
Yeah.
show?
Yes, while he was in the limo.
Oh,
after
very
the
cool.
show.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Wow.
And that was it.
So limited interaction with Jerry
Yes.
Garcia, even though you saw him and the Dead 592 times.
Yes, yes. And I've also seen, him in the Jerry Garcia band.
Oh, you saw him separately as...
Yes, but I don't count that as 5-9. I
Okay.
count that separately.
Interesting.
It was all Grateful Dead performances from Woodstock to Las Vegas.
Now, how does someone... How did you do it? How did you see 592 Grateful Dead shows?
I was broke during the early years.
Yeah.
But it was able to, get by. I remember in 1980, in the summer, I just hitchhiked, and I was able to, get in, like most shows. And they were there. Of course, they were cheaper.
Yeah.
The shows were cheaper, and it startles me that nowadays, see Dead and Company, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And there's no Jerry.
Do you still go see them?
Yes, but just locally. I went to the 2 Dead and Company shows at the Hollywood Bowl, and they were really good.
So did you ever sell T-shirts or something like that with the Dead?
Yes. I sold Fatty Zone T-shirts.
Fatty Zone.
Fatty is a big spliff.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I used to sell. You have now entered the Fatty Zone, and the biggest place where they had the most success was one of their shows at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in '88 or '89.
And what happened there?
They bought all of them from me, but the other places not so much.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Pittsburgh was the best place, and they loved the idea.
Yeah. So that's where you made the money to go to these shows and travel around.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Let's go back in time a little bit. So around this time, 1968, you sort of stopped going to high school. Is that accurate?
Yes. And I kept on running away.
You kept running away from home?
Yes.
Did you not have a good...
The East Village. At that time, the place where it was happening was the East Village.
That's where the culture movement was happening.
Yeah, the culture was... there was an attempt, and that's why suburbia was really racist.
Oh, really?
They had segregated, in the late 60s, they had segregated a place in Nassau County called Planning Fields Arboretum. Does that name ring a bell?
No.
They people that had long hair and blacks were banned from Planning Fields Arboretum. It was a free place, and they had hired cops to chase people away, or just search them and arrest them. And this was going on in the years 68 and 69, and it's the ACLU brought a suit. And
So this was happening in suburbia where
in suburbia,
where you
it
were
was
living.
an exclusive arboretum for tourists and the idle rich.
This is one of the reasons why you wanted to...
One of them.
Yeah, okay.
And it didn't help that I was bicycling there with my peace sign,
yeah.
on. So the result of the ACLU suit is they won. So Planning Fields answered with, okay, we'll just charge admission. And that kept a lot of people away. They charged like a really high price, maybe like, well, $10, which is high at that time.
Yeah.
To just go visit, the gardens, and because they just wanted to keep the exclusivity.
So what about your siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I just saw him yesterday.
Oh, very cool.
Yesterday, on the last 2 or 3 days.
Oh, okay. Older brother or younger?
Younger, 2 years younger.
Okay.
He has a family. He has a nice house in East Meadow, and he decided to leave in Long Island.
So he went the more conventional route.
Yes.
And his older brother Carl went the counterculture route.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to figure out why you guys were raised in the same house. Like, was it acting that
no,
you didn't have
I
any?
never was into acting.
Okay.
It didn't take. That was till 1979. I caught the acting bug.
So it was music. It was quite literally rock and roll music. That
yes. It was a lot, and I kept it, and due to my running away, and I think my parents also, consulting with. A psychologist.
Oh boy, what did they have to say?
Recommended, maybe he needs a prep school.
Okay.
And we searched the prep schools. Milford, I was there for 6 months. That didn't work out.
Wow.
I didn't fit in. But Kingsley Hall did.
It did. Why?
I made friends there.
Was it like artistic?
Artistic, yes.
It was a school for
artists. And what happened
artists.
was they were listening to music
Yep.
that was not on the radio yet. This was like a year or two before the progressive rock format had hit the radio. And the thing is, they turned me on to music that was not played on the radio at that time. Cream, Hendrix, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band.
So these bands were never on the radio at that time. You had just heard of them from your classmates?
Yes.
And teachers,
yes,
too?
And I was really embarrassed. They said, get rid of your monkey albums. The Monkees.
But the Beatles were, they were still respected.
The Beatles, yes.
Yeah.
I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
All my life.
Yeah, sure.
And I still do.
Me too.
But the Monkees were laughed about, just like we laugh about Justin Bieber.
Yeah. Okay, so did you start playing music at the school? Or did your friends play music at the school, your classmates?
Yes, that we had musicians there. In fact, one of them let me be his drum manager, so I could, get comped to go to the show.
Okay.
And it was in New Haven. We went to New Haven, and of course, the number one song, but you weren't around. And guess what? The number one song that every single garage band was performing at that time. I'll give you a hint. Dun, 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 dun. Sunshine of Your Love.
Sunshine of Your Love by Cream. I was going to guess a Cream song. Okay.
Yes. And they were really great. And it took me, I didn't see Clapton until my adventure in Europe and Israel.
Oh, really? Wow. Let me write that down to hit that.
Yes. And that was 78 through 80. My ventures overseas.
You were there
without a penny.
Several years.
Yes.
How'd you get there?
I had,
You
the
bought a
only
ticket.
income all right, what happened was, my mom, may she rest in peace, she just passed away.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, she found out, that, as part of like going to Kingsley Hall, I started dosing.
Yeah.
Because that was, it's doing something that was a little bit more intense than, smoking weed.
Right.
Acid.
Right.
And I don't do it anymore because it could overtake you and you can't maintenance.
Yeah.
If you're going to like alter your consciousness, there has to be some maintenance.
Right.
With it. Instead of just staring at the ceiling 24/7.
Yeah.
So they took me out of Kingsley Hall. I ran away to Kingsley Hall too. I missed my last year of high school as a
okay.
result of that. And eventually in '71, I took the GED, and then I went to a couple of colleges.
Okay, yeah. So your classmates introduced you to other kinds of drugs and,
Yes,
and music
yes,
and such.
yeah, LSD and mescaline, and Hawaiian Baby Wood Rose.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, yes, it was like Morning Glory seeds. If you couldn't get a hold of, acid, you might as well, get something really close.
So this is when you were like a junior in high school?
Yes, it was. Sophomore and junior. Both
Okay.
sophomore and junior.
Okay, and then so you were only at Kingsley Hall for like a year then?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
I didn't go the senior year because
Your mom found out, you said?
my mom found out, I was altering my consciousness
How did she find out?
by listening on my phone conversations.
Oh boy.
Yes.
I remember that
yes.
old trick.
Yeah. So that happened to you too?
I mean, I didn't really get in trouble.
They were
I
really,
was-
and they
yeah.
believed, the propaganda.
Yeah.
There was
Right,
a lot of
right.
heavily anti-marijuana propaganda, back in the
Right.
utopian
50s,
60s. In
60s.
fact, there was a short film narrated by Sonny Bono that said we should obey the law and not, smoke weed.
Well, look at us now, Carl. We are obeying the law in smoking weed.
Yes. Yes. That's
We've
the
come a
best
long
way
way
to put it. Yes.
as a
yes.
society. Okay, so you left high school and then you somehow got to Europe?
Yes, but there's some gaps. My Canadian trip in 1970. The summer of '70, my dad gave me $10 and said, "Okay, get it out of your system to look for utopia." And I took the Greyhound up, and I decided to hitch across the country, but because of pig problems. In other words, I kept getting harassed
Yeah.
all the time for hitchhiking in California. I mean, hitchhiking or anywhere in America.
Yeah.
But it's perfectly legal, and found out it was perfectly legal in Canada. And so if I have to go from coast to coast,
I see.
I'm going to take the Trans-Canada Highway.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to get pulled over by the cops there. In the beginning, they wouldn't let me into Canada, because they would ask, "Oh, how much money do you have?" You have to prove that you have lots of money, and I think they stopped doing that because all you have to do is because everybody has credit cards and they can't tell how much money is in your bank or not.
Yeah, they ask you what you're doing, I think, still in Canada.
Yes,
But if you didn't have a good answer, they might hesitate.
So this is what I did. I hitched across. There was a road that went over Lake Champlain, which is on the border of Canada and New York.
Okay.
And there was a little, like, almost dirt road that went from Vermont into Canada. And and there was one man booth. And so what I did was I went into the woods. And I never told the story to anybody how I got into Canada, but it's
Okay,
a
I
very
love it.
interesting story.
Yeah.
So I went into the woods where there's like mosquitoes, black bugs, and everything, and thorns and everything, and then walked a mile in the same direction of the road, parallel to the road that I came on. And,
Okay.
knowing that I'm past I'm past that one. Guard gate.
Right.
And then I went back to the dirt road, stuck up my thumb, and got a ride into Montreal.
So you just walked into Canada.
Yes, I walked into Canada. I had to do that. And nowadays you could do that. Well, no, you can't do it anymore. Things changed after 9/11. What I did then in the year 1970, you could not do that now.
Yeah.
So I hitchhiked. It took forever because everybody else is hitchhiking. Now, if you don't see any people hitchhiking, it's because they use Craigslist
Yeah.
to get rides in advance.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, that's how they're doing it nowadays. You don't see anybody hitchhiking.
Yeah.
So I go through Canada, and then in Winnipeg on July 1st, 1970, my second performance of the Grateful Dead. And they made that into a movie recently called The Festival Express.
Very cool.
Yes, yes. And then that was funny when they Delaney and Bonnie came on. It was Delaney's birthday, and they put orange sunshine into the cake. And I tried to get up front, but the cake was all gone. Everybody was like grabbing for it. But everybody knew it was
weed cake.
dosed
Yeah.
in advance.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the thing I remember most. And they had like Janis Joplin and the band. And you got to see the movie. It's called The Festival Express.
All right, I'll check
I
it
highly
out.
recommend. It's a whole documentary and that whole thing. And then I went to Vancouver, where I did something stupid. I wound up, I had no way to make money, so I sold doses on the street, and then I got caught by the cops
Yeah.
and spent 2.5 months until they decided to deport me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes.
2.5 months. Now, was that like actual prison that they sent you to, or just kind of the local jail?
Prison.
Wow.
It's not there anymore. So I don't have a record of it.
What was that like?
I guess it would be better than in an American jail.
Yeah. They were nicer.
Yeah, they were nicer. Yes, but it was bad. So I'm deported, and then I didn't want to go home. So what did I do after that? I still continued my running away adventures. I don't know where I went.
So
I went somewhere else.
So you went north to the New York-Canada border, and you started hitchhiking west, and you got all the way across the country to Vancouver, where you got in a little bit of trouble, and then were ultimately deported a few months later back to New York or to California, or where did they send you?
Well, they sent me to Toronto, and they flew me into LaGuardia, and
Okay.
My parents were meeting, but I refused to meet them.
Why?
It's a long story.
You just felt bad, or it was just more complicated?
It's more complicated.
Yeah.
I'm really, we got a long, I mean, we patched things up.
Oh, good.
I still love them.
Yeah.
They're trying to do what's best for me and what, they just, believed the propaganda from radio and TV.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a tough situation as a parent being put in where your kid obviously doesn't want to conform to the normalcies that everyone around you conforms to, and they're probably afraid of what would happen to you, where you might go, what might happen to you.
Yes, these it surely are worried about me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wound up going to Florida, where I wound up staying with my uncle. And he convinced me to take the GED test. That's what I did. And then I patched things up with my parents, went back there. And I started going to a 2-year college in 71 called Sullivan County Community College.
Okay.
And then I transferred from there to Graham Junior College. Oh, that's guess where Graham Junior College is?
Where?
Kenmore Square.
Oh, really? Oh,
But it
okay.
went bankrupt.
Oh.
Yes. So then from there I transferred to Buffalo State College.
Oh, okay. And you were like 19, somewhere in that range, 20?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how long did you stay at Buffalo State College?
I stayed there until 77, and I got a BA in mass communication.
Excellent. Okay. So did you start to kind of at what point?
Well, that's the thing. The thing is my goal after
Yeah.
seeing how other people do it, and I loving the music, and I really loved the progressive rock format that the radio stations were getting it together. It's not like really perfect.
Yeah.
Because you still have to limit how long the length of the music is due to advertising.
That's right.
And so we had WNEW FM. That was one of the most famous progressive rock stations. And, of course, right in your woods, WBCN in the Prudential Building. Do you remember that?
Yeah, WBCN, yep.
Yes.
Famous radio station in Boston, rock radio
Yes,
station.
yes. And
Not really around anymore.
none of those are around anymore, and it's disco.
Yeah.
Disco destroyed
Yeah.
my dream of being a DJ. And I found out when I went to, they were honest with me at Graham Junior College. They said, the people, it's not the DJs in the radio business that make the money. It's the people in sales.
Mm.
And then they become the salespeople, wind up as general managers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So not much money in it as a DJ.
There's no much money into DJ. It's not we're not like Steve Aiko.
Yeah.
So, and my brother at that time, he was a disc jockey at a roller skating rink in because he loved doing it over in I think it was in Jericho or Syosset.
Okay.
The thing is, that was minimum wage too.
Yeah.
The reality of it is the jobs that we loved, we had to give up. It happened when the teacher I had, the broadcasting teacher, recommended that do an intern, at a radio station, a community one, and I chose. He thought I was going to do one in Buffalo. But I didn't. I did one in KOTO FM in Telluride, Colorado.
So, okay. So you ended up all the way across the country.
Yes.
Now, was that like some kind of intern setup that you had and you just...
yes, he was going to... the general manager even wrote a letter to Bob Shield, the head of the broadcasting department.
Wow.
Actually, Bob Shield was opposed to the whole thing.
Was opposed to having you?
He said it had to be already. I'm already set up with this radio station. I'm not getting paid and everything, and there's no way I can make money. And so I did something really bad. Well, it's not bad.
What'd you do?
Passing bad checks.
Oh no!
And so so I could support my broadcasting career, which I wasn't getting paid a penny.
Yeah.
It was, but that's what I got my degree in. So what happened is they arrested me, took me out of Telluride, and flew me to Denver. But before, this is the thing, it never came to trial. This fake doctor came to all the cells and said, "Oh, he's my perfect specimen," pointing to me.
Really?
Yeah, he had me. It doesn't exist anymore. BPI, Boulder Psychiatric Institute, had me in there for 2 or 3 weeks.
Why did he choose you? Out of other prisoners or out of...
Out of all the prisoners, because he gets a cut from the money. But I remember him sending a letter to my father to... pay for the committance. And my father said no. Rightfully, he said no because he was like a scam artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it well. And that's when I said, I'll have to give up broadcasting because from all these angles, I could not get any help for something I love to do.
Yeah.
Called broadcasting and, playing the music I want and not being appreciated for it or anything.
Sounds like you pushed it pretty much as far as you could.
I did. And that's when I ran into a friend of mine said, in California named Richie Moss, who just passed away. I helped in the organize a funeral for him.
I'm sorry.
In, what was it? It was January. In fact, I posted the scattering of his ashes on. They recorded it and put it on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
He was the first fan of the Grateful Dead to get on an experimental program, which is still with us today, SSI, which is part of Social Security. Mm-hmm. But he got me on SSI. and there's a lot of negative feedback for people on SSI. I will, usually get, we have to pay your taxes. It's all your fault. You don't deserve it. And so, all right, so I applied for SSI in 77. And I moved to California, lived with Richie Moss. We lived at 1051 Post Street in San Francisco. And what happens with SSI, they reject everybody at first.
Yeah.
In which case, the second step is to hire a shyster lawyer that gives you has a shyster shrink.
Okay.
And they all write a letter saying that from evaluation, this guy cannot handle a job, and please put him on SSI. And so a little bit over a year later, voila, I'm on SSI.
Okay.
And how they operate is both the attorney plus the shrink, they get a cut of your retroactive check, because while you were appealing to the SSI people about getting rejected from SSI, when you finally get on it, you get your retroactive check. And that's how these lawyers operate. So, and to this day, I'm on SSI, even though they reduced my SSI after they got upset at the money I made at Tropical Cocktails. But we'll get to that, later.
And we will get to that later, Carl. This was episode 1. I hope you liked it. We're going to go deeper into Carl's life, talk about his trip overseas, talk about his acting success, and much, much more.